Welcome to
Stays Crunchy and Milk.
If you have questions or comments, we have multiple ways we can be reached. Twitter is, of course, the best way for those that need instant gratification. And the show's Twitter feed is at SKiMPod, SKiMPod.
Stays Crunchy.
For the more patient amongst you, the email address for the show is podcast@stayscrunchyandmilk.com. Crunchy again being spelled with a K.
Crunchy.
Hey, feel free to give us a call at 216-264-6311. That's 216-264-6311.
Stays Crunchy and Milk.
We're available by Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, anywhere fine podcasts are available. And of course, it's the website, stayscrunchyandmilk.com. Please rate, review, subscribe, and share wherever possible, including on YouTube, where we can now be found at Stays Crunchy. And over on Twitch, we're still Stays Crunchy and Milk. Our personal Twitters are
Tatum 216,
Lunchbox 2099,
The Real ODP.
And I'm your host, the Internet's Tayrell 713.
Stays Crunchy. Stays Crunchy. Stays Crunchy. Stays Crunchy. Stays Crunchy. Stays Crunchy.
You know, if you hear the applause, it means we in person. But we is an ethereal word this go around because it's not your normal peoples. Hello, welcome to it. It's Stays Crunchy Milk. It's episode 461. And I am in the state of Virginia, the Commonwealth of Virginia. And I got my whole family, yes, my nuclear family, the family that I was raised with, back on mic again. We have not done this since my mama's birthday some years back. At this time, we in town for my big brother's birthday. Happy 50th to you, sir.
Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Big up, big up.
Cheerios to the crowd.
I literally have my mama's headphones turned on right now because, you know, at some point I got to spit some lyrics and they had potty words in them and she don't need to hear that. So let me get my phone. I was prepared for this already. I knew I was going to do this and I had picked lyrics already and I just got to go pull them back up. It's more dependent on my phone than normally because, you know, normally I'm sitting in front of a computer. But let me get my... Here, I'll even do right by my mom and try to edit my lyrics as I spit them. In my home, sweet home, my keeps chrome next to my bone. Alters my walk to limping. Since I love the feel, I guess I'm passionately pimping. It is what it seems, that thing imprinted through the seam of my jeans by all means. Lost it all from lives to love. Put my faith in my money, help me rise above. See, I turned to the Lord when them times got tough. Bullied through the streets, powder I pushed and shoved. In that old Virginia, out of 10 niggas, 9 a guinea. No money, all they know is gimme. Got semis waiting, heat like Caribbean summer. I've been there, each year a different number. Whose wings she gon' fall under? Pusher a mile, Gonza grinds with me, with thoughts of them cross her mind. Look, Ma, that's right up my alley. I love my family. I want them all happy. In Virginia, we smirked at the Simpson trial. True, I guess the chase was wild, but what's the fuss about? See, plenty of my partners feeling like OJ beating murder like that is okay, and that's what our dough say. Talk the evil that men do. I'm lost in my mental. I miss you, shampoo. We miss you, shampoo. And your grams, too. I'm from Virginia, where ain't to do but cook. Stack it up, sell it triple price, them rooks, so forth. It keeps going from there. We in the building. We have my mama.
Hey. It's me.
We have my big sister.
What's happening, everyone?
We got my big brother, who is the birthday boy today.
Stays Crunchy. They're great.
There you go. So I'm saying that's disrespectful to Captain Crunch's ideology. You know what I'm saying? You over here bringing up Tony the Tiger. Captain Crunch, Captain Horatio Magellan Crunch. Put some respect on his name. Is who I'm talking about when we talk of Stage Crunchy, because that is from his old commercials. If you ever wonder where that came from. But I'm with my family, and that means we're going to talk family stuff. You know what I'm saying? Not family stuff per se. We're not talking family business, but in general, like I said, it's my brother's 50th, and that's pretty hype. He had a beautiful hotel room. I got to go look at it today. I got a lovely little hotel room while I'm kicking it down here. I brought the kids with me. They'll probably get in here at some point to ask questions, because that's the best part about these things. People get questions answered about what it was like coming up as me, and I'm the guy who hosts this show, and therefore it'd probably be a little more me focused, but not intentionally. But that's just how it kind of works out. I'm the guy whose show you listen to every week, so that's what it is. Also, this is your show for the week. I'm not gonna make the guys record a show this week. It's lovely, unless they are like on some nonsense and like we gotta record, and I'm like, I gladly, sirs, but this is what you'll get this week, and it could be as long or short as we end up making it. But to start with, I told the children the story of how my mama left me at Walmart once. And it sounds like the worst thing. Your mama left you at Walmart. But no, my mama left me at the Walmart that was down the road from my grandparents' house. It was easy for me to walk to where I need to do. And that's what ended up happening. I just walked to my grandma's house. I knew where she was at. Also, I could have went the other direction and went to my Aunt Lucy's house. So I had options, people. Relax. I didn't actually get left at Walmart, but I did get left at Walmart. And that's because why? My mama be saying, stick to me close, or don't be going off in the distance. And I'll be going to look at toys or bikes or whatever is at my local Walmart. And Walmart back in the day was way different than Walmarts are now. Walmarts today are all pretty uniform. They kind of have a general same vibe. But this was when it was Walmart, headquartered in Bentonville, Arkansas, which was like basically across the bridge from Memphis, Tennessee, where I came up. And so, I mean, don't trip. I didn't get abandoned at Walmart. I just got left at Walmart. Now, my children were like, why did it happen? How did it happen? I thought I explained it well enough. But if you left me at Walmart, it's because probably I was being a knucklehead not listening.
More than likely.
Yeah, and you was on some like, well, you know where to go. And I did. Because like I said, Millington, where my grandparents lived, was not a mess city. It is a bigger city now. I went there recently enough, a couple of years back now. I don't know when, a year or so back when my Aunt Dot passed. I went down there and I'm like, man, Millington kind of big. But also it's kind of like, if you from Ohio, it's kind of like Ridgeville has blown up all of a sudden and got all these properties that are around. So you kind of get an idea. If you have a town that was kind of country about 15, 20 or so years back and is now just full of suburban development, there you go. That's what Millington is. Used to be a Navy base there.
Yep.
I want to say Bush closed that down. So it's been gone for a while.
It's still a Navy base. It just does not do the major training. Mostly it's the military payroll comes out of there now.
Oh, okay.
So it's still considered a base because they still have planes that come in for different reasons. At the time that I grew up, it was a military training base, so it was called the Navy base, but it also had people who were in the Marines, the Army, the Coast Guard, all of the different branches of the military. And they came there for specialized training, basically, of different forms.
Okay.
They also had a pretty slamming, to use the word, hospital, which for us was great if for some reason something were to happen and you really, really needed that right now attention, they would allow it. They would get you stable and get you into Memphis 20 miles out just to get to the Memphis City line, and then however much farther to get to the hospital. So every now and then you got a chance to be at the Navy hospital. And when I was growing up, it was the up-and-coming thing. Either you worked on the base or you worked for someone who was part of the military base.
Okay.
A lot of the women, your grandmother included, were domestics for the military higher-ups. They got to live off base, and their family, they got to have their families, and Mom and most of the women that I knew then were domestics for those families. And that's when I got introduced to prejudice in a different way, because people would come from different parts of the country. In Millington, I must say there was probably prejudice, but we did not see it in the raw.
Okay.
Unless it was someone who was stationed there. And you always knew, because even in the stores, you'd get the weird look from the individual, or you get an attitude if you walk by, or a huff or something. But mostly, we didn't have the problems that most places had in Millington. Now, my dad would probably beg to differ, but my dad, again, was from a different era.
Yeah.
He raised us children as a sharecropper. And for those who don't know what that is, that's an individual who lives on a plantation owner's land and actually raises crops, supposedly 50-50. Never turned out that way because all of the seeds and all of the other supplies that came to raise the crop came out of the individual's half of the 50. The plantation owner never paid for any of that. So most of the time, the sharecropper just came away with enough to take care of the family.
Yeah. My grandparents lived on what was called the hall grounds, if I recall correctly.
You're correct. Yeah. That's where you remember them from the best.
Yeah.
That's where Dad actually owned property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I again, like when I was down there recently enough, whenever I'm in Tennessee, I try to swing by just about every place I came up at that I remember clear enough to get to. And so I swung down there. It's funny. It just looks it looked way smaller than it is now than it was when I was little. It might as well been forever. You know what I'm saying? Off in the distance. But now I see it, I'm like, that's clearly where it stopped. It must have stopped there that whole time. It must stop there now. And I'm like, it's interesting to see it. And my granddaddy raised chickens when I was little, so I got to kick it with him. Y'all can hear my sister's dog acting out. But like I said, I long time listeners know I was born in Michigan, but I was raised a good chunk of my life down in Millington, Memphis, Tennessee, and so that's where so if you know, you know. So that's been popping with that. So like I said, it was easy. I walked from it was down one road. I can't remember what's the name of that road that goes Wilkinsville, go all the way down to Grandpa's house. And I'm not trying to. Well, hey, he long gone, so I can't dox my granddaddy. But if you're ever in the general Wilkinsville area of Millington, Tennessee, go all the way down from. It's still a Walmart there. Is that Walmart there still?
It's still.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. It's different now because it's a new school Walmart. It's a Zaxby's over there. You can go get some good chicken.
Dad actually lived on North Avenue.
Okay. Yeah.
So you took Wilkinsville Road to, actually, there was a church on the corner of North Avenue and Wilkinsville Road, and still is. That church has been there for as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
It was one of the landmarks that you knew.
Yeah. It's how I got there. Like I said, the last time I went, I'm like, there you go. Now, that park, we used to go to that park there at that school. What was that school's name? You remember that school?
That was Millington Elementary.
Okay.
Lucy used to work there.
Yeah.
That's not the one I went to when I learned how to tie my shoes, though, right?
You went to Millington East.
Yeah.
That was
which was
off from the naval base.
Yeah, it was by the naval base. About when we first moved to Tennessee, we lived in a trailer park.
Yes.
No, that's why you never hear me putting disrespect on trailers. I know some people be like, I got a problem. Yeah, it was dope. I had a buddy who I still kind of clearly but not clearly remember. He had a bunch of Star Wars toys. Yep. So he was living pretty lavish to be in a trailer because a lot of these people in the trailer were like my mama said, Navy people. So it's like, no, they was broke. They was broke. You know what I'm saying? So they kind of was doing all right.
My best birthday and favorite memories come from us living in the trailer park.
I'm not gonna lie to you, it's the blurriest of all the memories.
You were only 5 when we lived there.
I was a little dude. I remember is such a strong word. I probably remember memories of. You feel me? It's not like I actually fully have a clear recollection of this. My Lucy taught me how to tie my shoes. And he taught me it was paper shoes and yarn. It was a shoestring, so he taught me how to tie. So that's how I learned how to tie my shoes. Respect to Aunt Lucy, who still shows me love. Anytime Aunt Lucy see me, it is like not a day has passed, and I'm still her nephew, and I dig that. So she got a lot of love she got a lot of love for me in her heart, and I the same for her. So
yeah, for sure.
Don't know why, but it just worked that way. And so let's see. How do you know what we was talking about? We really just drove off.
The trailer park brought up some memories, and one of my fondest memories is we had moved into the trailer park, and we had moved into a new trailer.
Yeah.
The first one, I must say this, was a roach motel, and I ain't lying. When they did the extermination of the actual trailer, the trailer didn't have a skirt around it like most of them did. Yeah. So you could look under the trailer, and the ground was littered with roach carcasses. Yeah. It to stacked. I mean, this was horrible. But the next trailer, the trailer owner apologized. It was one that it was all he had, and I needed to get us into a home, and he was trying to accommodate. So that was what he had, and he promised me that he would get me into something better, which he did. But we had moved into this trailer, and I'm not really sure what I did to you or didn't allow you to do to cause the outburst, but you were mad at me. You threw a fit. My daddy would let me do it or whatever. And I'm going home to my daddy's. And all of a sudden, we're sitting in the living room, and we hear the back door slam. And Alicia was, Ma, I think he left. I said, no, he didn't. And we waited a moment, and we didn't hear from you. And by the time Alicia and Christopher went out to search, you had made your way almost to the main road. Going to get your daddy, going to tell your daddy on your mom. You were Dad's ride or die. So
Hiding in the bushes.
I like that in me.
It was funny because he wanted to go back in to find his dad.
Okay.
And it was to go get some McDonald's. And he was walking up the road by himself on this journey.
From, I assume from Michigan, from Millington, Tennessee to Grand Rapids, Michigan, where I was born at. And my father lived at the time. And if you could imagine. I cannot. So there you go.
Yes.
How is that a fond memory? That's an awful memory.
It wasn't an awful memory.
It's a memory for me because it was one. You always had that independent streak. You from early on, you were independent. You and your brother, and that's a uniqueness that I have appreciated all of your lives. But y'all were like, Big Brother didn't let Little Brother get into any trouble. Now, Big Brother might encourage you later on in life to get into trouble. But Little Brother depended on Big Brother. So I never had to worry about the two of you all as far as when I knew that you all were together. So you being that small and being that, I just really did not believe you were going out the house in the first place. Not just going, but when they came back to report and tell me how far you had gotten, I was truly amazed because it was something that I'm thinking, here we are. But throughout your life, from all of your life, you had always been the independent soul. So it was who you were.
Check me out. See, I was a real special child.
You were a rebel.
A little rebel Dottie.
Right? That part.
True that.
Well, I don't know. Y'all, like I said, if you've been around here long enough, you know what the deal is. I've lived all over this country. I was born in Michigan, lived there until I was 5. We moved to Tennessee, lived there until 88. Then I came up to Cleveland. Cleveland is where, of course, I made my bones in the world. Oddly enough, I met my best friend, Chuck D, up there, and because I made such a good friend in him, even when we moved to Atlanta a couple of years later, Cleveland kind of remained base of operations. So I would go back to Cleveland in the summertime if possible, or at winter break if possible. And so I always kept tight with my people in Cleveland. And so when I graduated high school, it was two options. I got into NYU, and trust me, I only knew NYU existed and thought to apply to NYU because of the Cosby Show. If nothing good, if nothing else good came out of Cosby Show, Theo went to NYU, and I was like, seems like a job, seemed like a dig to me. And I got into NYU. Respect due to your boy. We was never gonna be able to afford NYU. It was a private school in New York City. Trust me, it was never gonna happen. And then I was gonna go, so I was like, Cleveland it is. And I applied to 2 schools in Cleveland, and one of them didn't show no love. That's you, Case Western. Still look at you sideways. But although, I mean, Case is a real good school. There's no way
I wanted you to be at Case.
Case also private school, wildly expensive, whatever. So then I go to Cleveland State, and I left my house 2 weeks after I graduated high school.
Spartans.
My sister did kind of about the same thing. My sister lived life like you graduated, and then
At 18.
yeah, and you like we moved right after you graduated, and you's like, I'm going back there, and like basically a little bit after she graduated, she set out on the world herself, and it's just in us. We have that in us to be
That
like, all right,
independent spirit.
let's get to it. And
I was a mother's child.
pull that towards you, boy. And you was not a mother's child. You're a liar.
Your mother's sitting right across you. How dare you?
I need that all the way up towards your mouth. There you go. And I don't know. We always say, you of course were an adventuresome child because you be like we were in North Haven, you be out in the projects at Horton Garden. And I'm like, how we over here in the nice, I'm saying in basically the suburbs because we lived in the suburbs for a little bit. It was a lovely little suburban area. It's kind of went over there when I was
Seedy
there
right now.
Seedy is too much. It's falling apart, is all it is. And I don't doubt that all the white folk who lived there went to go move somewhere else, and they've left it all behind, and probably left it to be rental properties and so forth and so on, and that's all it is. But Penny Pantry's still there, and they still sell Jungle Juice.
You got that right, baby.
Jungle juice
And potato wedges.
Yeah, so just saying. So we called them taters down south in Tennessee where I live.
Potato wedges.
And they just call them JoJo's in Cleveland where I live now. So I always laugh when we get JoJo's, and I'm just thinking of taters from my youth. Same thing. I want you to know.
For sure.
You need some taters. I got to connect for you in Cleveland, in the general Cleveland area.
Do you children remember us searching the house for coins so that we could go get a super big gulp from 7-Eleven?
I just remember going to 7-Eleven on a regular and getting
Suicides.
the ice cream sandwich. They remember that 7-Eleven sold the big cookie ice cream sandwich? I don't remember the name of them, but Big Wheels, I think they might be Big Wheels. So we got Big Wheels.
with the chocolate.
And we didn't call them suicides, but we did call it. It was kamikazes. So I think
kamikazes is what we called them.
And that's just us mixing all the soda in the fountain into one.
And y'all did, and we had to share that one soda.
Yeah, it was a big gulp. It was definitely
it was a super big gulp.
It was enough for everybody.
It filled an 8-ounce,
Yeah.
8 to 12-ounce glass for each of us at the dinner table because we would share it for supper. Yeah. It was part of supper.
Supper is such a weird word. Who bangs supper and who bangs dinner at this table? I say dinner.
Dinner.
I interchange it, dinner, supper. I interchange dinner and supper.
I find it interesting when those who still use that.
Supper.
I don't bang supper out, and I find it funny.
It's supper time.
Yes, supper has such a... It has a lightweight country connotation, but then a lightweight kind of like high end, sophisticated kind of. It's supper time. You know what I'm saying?
It's supper time.
We're going to supper, and so it's just that's why I laugh at that.
Kids are true.
It's the life we live.
Dinner.
I remember when you brought up about going to get the coins and everything. One of my fond memories is driving to pick up cans off the side of the road, because aluminum cans, you can get money back in those days.
Yep.
And that's how we used to get dinner, for real. I remember doing the aluminum cans, taking them to the 7-Eleven and cashing them in, and then we'll go up to the store up the street and get a pack of hot dogs. We were bougie because we didn't eat hot dogs with white bread. It had to be with hot dog buns.
Yes.
And I'm bougie like that to this day.
Has to be.
A bag of chips, and then the big gulp. Like T said, big gulps were always in our life. And what was the drink from Penny Pantry?
Jungle juice.
Jungle juice.
Jungle juice is like crack, y'all.
Jungle juice don't go hard no more, because like a lot of companies, they have subbed in sucralose to help cut the sugar.
Okay.
And it just I don't know if y'all like how sucralose tastes real gross on my palate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm allergic to sucralose.
Oh yeah, it's a very gross flavor profile.
And that's what I have to. That's what I use. Aspartame is.
You can't use
I'm allergic to it.
Yeah.
Sucralose tend to be the right balance.
I don't know if they even. I know they still make it. They make Sweet and Low, so I mean, Saccharin is available. But I don't know. If
Sweet and Low. Now, if I had my druthers and I could get it in bulk, I would rather have Sweet and Low. Yeah. It does not have the aftertaste that other artificials do.
Yeah.
But because I've only found it in all the places I've lived in small 2-pound boxes, or the packets, the 100 in a box packets. And when you're trying to live your life with artificial sweetener, those packets become problematical real quick.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of paper everywhere.
So,
and so forth.
I
Stealing them
haven't
from the
experienced it for a while, and this tested and sucralose, I can handle it. It still has a bit of a aftertaste, but not so bad. Mm-hmm. And I can buy it in 2-pound bags. So, and 2 pounds of sucralose is like a 4.5 pound bag of regular sugar.
Yeah, and you can bake with sucralose and you can't with saccharin. Saccharin
exactly.
It cooks off in a way that you can't. Saccharin is basically useless for you in baking situations.
Exactly.
So
what about what was it? What was the where we used to drive to?
Shelby Forest.
Shelby Forest.
I drove when like I said when we came down when Box brought me down for the funeral. We took Christian with us. We went. Christian is my nephew. If you don't know, but now you do. We drove down through Shelby Forest, and it's that is something that I just don't even have a memory for. So
erosion. That's why you don't remember it. I did not know, but a few years back when I was home, I took the road that I would normally take to the spot that I would normally take you all to pay a visit, and discovered that the Mississippi River had eroded the road. It had come all the bank where you guys used to run down and run to the water had now become beyond the street. And used to, we would drive, we would have a place to park on the hillside and walk down, and then still have walking beach space to go to the water. So when I go flying through there expecting that same thing, and I'm like, where's my spot? I see all of my markers, but there's no parking here. The water's right there.
Yeah.
And happened just by happenstance, ran into a park ranger.
Yeah.
And discussed it. And I said, the river erodes so badly now.
Wow.
And they are still, at that time, they were still trying to figure out a way to keep the erosion, because the actual road, it was getting smaller and smaller. It was encroaching farther and farther into what would have been residential.
Yeah.
So,
several times when we was coming up, it would get flooded. And you couldn't go down there anyway. So it kept doing that. Is what you told me over the years, and ate away at it.
And the erosion was horrible.
We have a couple of beaches near us that are just gone now. Like the lake has done with it, like the same thing. Like we used to go to this one beach and we called it Secret Beach, and we went in there and I was like, oh, that we drove because me and Vanessa pulled up on it one day, and I was like, this is all fenced off now, and they say it's private for this development here. It used to be a beach that one of the cities had, and it's just gone. It's like all the way gone. So the lake has just taken it, and I'm like, well, and that which is left is the private beach of this facility right here.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's wild to see things like that. Yeah, nature is a beast, a monster.
Yes.
Don't
Yes, it is. It does change.
It does what it was designed to do.
I mean, I don't know if
We
it was
humans
designed per
try
se.
to change it.
Yeah, that's true. We try to like, hey, we gonna live there, and it's like, are you? Maybe for a few years, but not forever.
Yeah. It don't last forever. I was truly shocked, and of course, those were memories for me. Your memories as children were probably very different than the ones for me. Me as a parent, and I've told you all this many times, as a single parent, I always felt I was not giving you guys the things that a parent should give. So I was always trying to find something to add to your life to sweeten it up a bit.
Yeah.
And the memories of me taking you guys down, and the enjoyment you had for being at the Mississippi River Beach.
Yeah.
I even remember your Aunt Dorothy showed me, because she had come in from there one day, and she had a bucket full of
clams. Yeah, I remember the clam fries.
And when she told me where she found them and everything, then I later took you all and we went clamming a couple of times. And the thing that was funny was you guys didn't really like the clams to eat them. You just like to find them because the sand, there really is no way that you can get all of the sand out of the clam. No matter what you do to it, you're going to have a bit of a grit to it because that's how the clam eats. It filters through the sand through its system.
It's indeed a filter feeder.
Yeah, but those things I still remember. And again, one of my favorite memories is you and your adventuresome self. We moved into the North Haven house, and you and your brother discovered what you all called a forest.
Bamboo forest.
And you all described it to me. And I told you, oh, that's bamboo. And so you learned what bamboo was. And as on days you would come and you'd say, Ma, see you later. We're going on the venture. Got sandwiches and got water. And out the door you and your brother would go. And I would not see you all until time for dinner. It was safe. I was not worried about you. At one point, you all discovered somebody else's hide place that they had built in the bamboo forest. So, clubhouse, that's what you guys called it. Y'all rebuilt the clubhouse. Then you met your friend Billy Eskew.
The homie.
And once you met Billy, Billy became a part of the adventure that you all would eventually go on a regular basis. Your brother's biggest adventure was discovering the fire department firehouse behind our house. Actually, it was actually on another street behind our house. Yeah. But he became a well-known celebrity at that firehouse, and I think he still remembers. You guys probably remember too that the day we were leaving, moving to Cleveland, he disappeared on me, and we couldn't find him. And I don't know which one of you said, "Here comes a fire truck," and it pulled up to the house, and my heart just dropped because I'm like, "Oh Lord!" And the fireman got out of the truck, and the driver got out and came grinning, and he says, "I bet you're looking for somebody." And the on the other side, fireman stepped out, and riding on their shoulder was this little skinny, because Chris was skinny and scrawny at that time, boy with the biggest grin you've ever seen on his face. And the firemen all got out, surrounded him, and said that they could not let their little buddy leave without them giving him the right kind of send-off. And I always thought that was so awesome, that they would think that much about him.
That firehouse moved, I saw, again, when I was there recently.
Yes, it's on the corner of North Haven.
It's on North Haven Drive now, and like that whole park was not there. I think it was all G field when I went there. Mm-hmm. So that's strange. It's weird to see like I said, we drove through my elementary school parking lot, and it just, I don't know. One, I was like, this seems illegal because there's some we grown ups just driving through some elementary school. That don't seem quite. And plus, it was definitely like school year time. It was like October when my aunt passed, so it's like definitely. I'm like, we probably shouldn't be doing this. This seems almost criminal. So let's get on out of here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like I said, it's weird to be around. We lived in the North Haven neighborhood of Memphis for a bit there, and that was where we banged at. Like I said, I went to North Haven Elementary, and then I went to Woodstock. Is where I went. I started. I did.
Yeah, you started kindergarten at Woodstock.
Well, yeah, no, I did. I did kindergarten and first grade at Woodstock. We left. I went to North Haven through let's say second, third, fourth, and fourth, the second time. Sometimes you got to get a double helping of education.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't keep his mouth shut.
No, I didn't have glasses and couldn't see.
I do remember
this
that.
Is true.
I know.
This is true.
That's something you discover years later. You're like, wait a minute, what the heck is going on? I'm a very intelligent man. I know that, and I was an intelligent child. Oh, no, I was just blind as a bat.
I do recall that
so
part.
That all comes after a little bit. So you figure that as you get older. You know what I'm saying? But also, who cares? I did. You know what? My second year my first year in the fourth grade, my teacher ended up leaving, and we got a teacher in Nora McGowan, and I remember to this day, I can tell you Nora McGowan because she was dope and she gave us candy and so forth and so on. She was super sweet. But then what did happen? I failed the 4th grade. So was she a good teacher at that point in time? No, but a sweet lady. And again, I was blind. It's not really her fault. And then Ms. Dutton, who was our teacher initially, and she left. Don't know why she left. And then she was back. And so she was my teacher in the 4th grade, my second dose of the 4th grade. And I want to say she might have been the teacher when the Challenger exploded. But even to this day, Ms. Dutton, you were not a good teacher, or you was just mean to me as a black child. Can't call it. Don't know how that worked out. Don't want to pin anything on you. Just saying.
Right,
you out there.
right.
I looked up Miss Nora McGowan, let's say in the last year, and she teaches at a private school down in Memphis still. So she is still around.
Oh, my
she gotta be.
goodness.
She gotta be
Wow.
60s going to 70s, something like that. But it's private school. Private schools pay worse than public schools. I want you to know that. So
And they do.
Her pockets might not be too grisly, but good to know that she was still around. It was nice. It was something nice for me to see. I was like, cool. So that was that. And then we, like I said, we moved to an apartment in Memphis. Like we were in Memphis, but
Yeah,
like
Memphis.
in the city proper at that point. And I went to Jackson Elementary, and I did 5th and some of 6th grade. And like I said, then we moved back to North Haven. It was a weird situation. There was a back and a forth. And 6th grade was at Woodstock. And that's when I started. That's when class switching first started, kind of, sort of, but not really, because it's like basically, I remember it clearly. It's a big old room that was basically it was cut with walls, and so you'd start the day in this homeroom. And Ms. Ryan was my teacher, and she was a butt because I had a habit of putting my desk on my feet, just sitting there, not doing anything, just sitting there leaning with my desk on my feet, just the way it felt. And she kept trying to even stop. This one time she comes and pushes on the desk like she's gonna hurt my feet. I'm like, what you doing, little homie? What this is not even right. It was enough terrible teachers in that situation. So she was like my homeroom teacher, and also like I believe she taught math. And then we had Miss. I'm gonna say nope. She was not science. She must have been my social studies teacher. She was awesome. She was from Louisiana, and I remember her talking about explaining to these other white women crawdads and crayfish because they didn't understand that you ate them. And I like that. I don't know why I have such a clear recollection of that, but I do. And then I had Ms. Rump, who taught science, and Ms. Rump took some of my Alf comic books from me because I had them in class. And Ms. Rump, that name fit like a glove. I want you to know that. You imagine in your head what you think Ms. Rump looks like.
Right.
And that's what she looks like.
Big round rump.
So then, like I said, if you flip it ahead, let's say to, I don't know, high school at some point in time, me and my man Justin we used to go comic shops because Justin was a big comic collector, and I kind of was a mediocre comic collector because I didn't really have dough like that. But we went to a comic shop, and they had, the boxes. If you ever go to a comic shop, there's always long boxes of old comics. And I dig through it. I'm like, yo, that is an Alf #1, a comic I had. There was 2 printings of that book.
Wow.
Alf #1, the first #1 with the original pressing, is Alf on the cover. So it was a picture of Alf with comic book Alf looking at Alf. And it says Robert Redford because he's saying he's so handsome. But if you had the second edition, it's Alf looking at Alf, and it says Tom Cruise. So I knew that I had the original. I was like, yo, this is the Robert Redford Alf #1. Got to get it. It's like 50 cents out of it. Like I said, it was nothing. I got that comic to this day. That comic's in my attic right now.
Are you
go to my
serious?
house right now, and it's in my attic right now.
Have you ever gotten it appraised?
No, it's Alf #1. No one wants that comic. But I wanted that comic.
Sure someone
because
does.
I had that comic, and Miss Rump took it from me. Was supposed to give back to me in the year and did not. And I always was like, she shaded. She stole my comics and kept them for herself because she knew it was going to be valuable. It was a #1 and blah, blah, blah. And of course, Miss Rump probably just forgot about it or tossed it or whatever. Can't call it.
Yeah.
But still, I look at her with, disdain and malice in my heart. What's up? Oh,
Alf 1 was a 9.4 rating, $100.
$100.
There you go.
I
All
just think it
these
would be
years.
valued so much more.
$100.
I mean, hey, like I said, there are, if you were to come to my house right now, there are a bunch of comics that I got in high school that I still have. There are a bunch of comics I got when early in college because it's like there was a comic shop. There used to be a comic shop right in downtown Cleveland above the arcade. And I used to go there and get comics all the time. And they closed that down forever ago. And I remember bumping into one of the guys who I knew used to work there. And I go, yo, what happened, man? Oh, that man was on crack, bro. He got it. I was like, oh, well, thank you for that. It was good to know. It was good to understand what happened at this lovely, wonderful comic shop that we had in downtown Cleveland. why it closed away. The arcade at this point is now a Hyatt hotel. They've made that whole structure to a hotel. So if you wanted to, that's a hotel in downtown.
Is the fountain still in there?
The fountain is at Tower City, and now it's not. They made it into an indoor park. Hold on, I'm about to make it worse for you because y'all ain't here.
Oh man!
The owner of that is the guy who owns the casino.
Mm-hmm.
Kept raising rent on every store in there until every store just said no,
we're
can't
out.
do it no more. Add that to the pandemic, and it was a done deal.
Right.
So basically, that whole building is like the Tower City portion of the building empty, and they've been trying to hustle it as we're gonna have something here or something here, and then they, like I said, they just built an indoor park over the fountain.
Oh man!
Mind you, that used to be literally the terminus. That's why it's called Terminal Tower of the Amtrak. The trains used to run there.
That was the centerpiece of Tower City.
The tower itself is owned by another company, and they take pretty good care of it. It's got apartments in it now. If you were so inclined and had enough pockets, you could go live in the tower itself, which is kind of
I'm sure.
So, and they're building, like they took, like I said, again, I don't work downtown no more, and so they, it's funny to drive down there now and see what parking lot I used to park at. It was the Lick. You got there early, you can pay $7. You got there like later, it's $10 for the whole day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they didn't pay for our parking. Yes, parking it was wildly expensive, and me paying it every day and gas. Anyway.
Thank goodness for what?
They are now
working.
Thank goodness for COVID.
They are now. I don't want to be thanking for COVID per se, but you know what? But they're building. Sherwin-Williams is building their headquarters there now. They already have their headquarters downtown. They're going to build a fancy new headquarters down there.
Okay.
So that's what's going to be a big old tall building. We're going to have another tall building added to the skyline of Cleveland.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I dig it, man. I dig it. I just like I said.
So does the RATA still come into the tower?
RTA still does terminate. Well, not terminate. It's one of the stops along. It's the central spot. It's where everything else hubs out from of the rapid transit system in Cleveland. So it still does there. Right now, as a part of President Biden's infrastructure plan, they are working on hopefully getting Amtrak up and running better by a lot in Cleveland. Currently in Cleveland, I don't know if you even know where the Amtrak station is in Cleveland.
No, I do not.
It's a little bitty box over there by the stadium, by Brown Stadium.
Wow.
And trains only come in there around 2 or 5 in the morning.
I do remember. Yes, I remember coming to that.
Yeah.
Looked like an outdoor toilet. Excuse me.
Pretty much. It was, like I said, it's a box.
I do remember visiting whenever it had to be when I came when Xander was 2.
Okay.
And you picked me up at that place. And I was terrified because at that point it was dark. It was before dawn. Wasn't a lot of people around, and I ended up being maybe the last one because you were running just a little late. No shade on you, but I'm like, I was very uneasy in that area.
It's scary down there. And so there's talk and
10 minutes.
What?
Minutes.
Oh. There is a talk, and I literally just filled out a survey maybe last week of trying to move the Amtrak hub into downtown proper. So it's much safer.
Yes.
And hopefully maybe terminating once again at the terminal at the tower.
Sure.
And I hope that all works itself out, and then maybe and then having routes that can get us through all of Ohio, so Columbus, Cincinnati,
a
new Chicago stop. You can go to Chicago already, but I mean,
a good one.
At a decent hour.
Yes.
And
something safe.
Just sprouting us out like DC and so forth. So making us,
nice.
And like I said, look, man, not nobody at this table. You know how this family votes, but. Some of y'all would talk wild records about President Biden, but President Biden has a love affair of trains.
Yeah.
And has always been trying to help Amtrak out, and so and has been riding the train since he was a senator of Biden back in the day. So I dig that they made the point to add that to the infrastructure bill to make sure that trains are gonna get more play. The northern whoever runs the main lines for moving cargo I think a base is going to end up being like AT&T had wires everywhere, but they end up having to like sell wire space. I think they're going to what they ends up being is you have to sell some train track space. You got all this dang train track that's already laid, and now you're going to just share it.
Gotcha.
So and like I said, it's going to be involved, but I'm excited for where it could go.
Fantastic.
So that could be. Like I said, we this country has needed high speed rail for forever, and everywhere else in the world has high speed rail.
Yes.
Because it makes
practical.
sense. It's practical. It's a good way of transit, and basically we done let airplane lobbyists and everybody else hold us down this whole time and not make that happen. It's like, come on, bro, we should have been doing this forever ago. But we'll see how that all plays itself out. Them job turkeys in Ohio, there's some other more Ohio stuff. I'm saying this is me pulling from my hat. So we just got approved to do a windmill farm out on Lake Erie.
Beautiful.
Okay. So we don't. Some very renewable. It's a renewable resource. The city of Cleveland has already, cut a deal to make sure they're going to buy power from them. So the deals are in place, and other cities will probably jump on. But what the state did in response to that was make it so counties or cities could make renewable energy illegal. And 10 counties have already said, no, we're going to stay with fossil fuels. And I'm like, who wants to voluntarily stay with a dying energy source? It's so dumb. And they do this all the time. Like I said, that's what happens when you got a state gerrymandered to no end.
Yes.
And they just run roughshod over the policies that make sense for the state.
So where are they going to put the
windmills?
Windmills.
Out in the lake.
Okay.
That is awesome.
One, it's so much wind that just comes off of that. It makes perfect sense to put it there. Two, I think it truly is. I don't know about y'all. I dig the way New Age windmills look. They got a cool swag to them.
I just think they're wonderful. When they first showed up with just looking like a pole with blades on it, I thought it was awesome because it was taking advantage of something that doesn't go away. There's wind is going to be here.
We've been using windmills as people hundreds of years.
Yeah,
for sure.
When we were flying in from Kansas to Baltimore, I happened to look out the window and I seen all these windmills.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a logical thing. It's a nice renewable resource, and I like that we at least. I tell people all the time. My little neck of Ohio is so very different than the rest of Other that I almost hate to have to worry that I might have to leave it. But I have a trans child, and other states in this country have been making laws against them, and I know Ohio got a habit of falling in line for that kind of stuff. So it always is a concern for me. Right now, we got a halfway decent shot of taking that governor's office this year, and I feel like if we can do that, we may not have the legislator, but we got somebody who can at least veto things.
Right.
And that might just be what we have to deal with.
Yeah.
But like I said, Ohio, I love it. I've been there more than I've been anywhere else in the state. But I have to protect the well-being of my kid, and that's just what it is. And like I said, they constantly making laws in this country now directly at him as a person. And so I have to always kind of be prepared to like, all right, where are we going? What's going to happen?
It's the state you love to hate.
For sure.
It is Anthony always says, it is the northernmost southern state because everything you think you hear is going on in the South is happening in Ohio. So it just always is that way. So,
sure.
But we will see where life goes and takes me. I hope I don't have to leave it because I love it. But like I said, I love my part of it because it's so different than the rest of it.
Right.
Yeah.
You fell in love with Ohio, seems like from the moment we arrived there in
I can explain it to you.
1988. You and your brother, again, your adventuresome spirits. There was
I love
so much for you all to experience. I think you guys went into sensory overload, but you've never, ever not liked Ohio.
So Cleveland was a big city compared to Memphis in that point.
For sure.
Memphis, I'm sure at this point is considered probably a larger city than Cleveland, but at that point in time, Cleveland still was a big deal. But I remember looking at an atlas because you brought a map home with you back to Tennessee, and on that map it had Brooklyn on it.
Okay.
In my mind, we was going to Brooklyn, New York. I was so hyped. I was like, "Oh, we about to go to Brooklyn." Because hip hop has always been in my head.
So
and so
funny.
I was mentally prepared to be going to a whole other part of the country than what we end up in. came up in the suburbs. I'm a suburban child, and so we moved to When we moved to Cleveland, we lived in, I don't want to say the hood because it wasn't nothing like that, but then it kind of was. It was hood enough and hood adjacent enough that I stayed in the house. I was not on the street until I met my man Chuck D, and then I would hop the bus and go across the town on the west side, which is a little less hood. But now it's just as hood, if ever. Mm-hmm. Very crackish over there. But
Cleveland Heights.
Cleveland Heights is a different vibe, like you said. And I wasn't never gonna kick it in Cleveland Heights because I was, like I said, it's funny how I would ride the bus out to like Euclid Square.
Right.
I would just hop to one and be like dying of motion sick by the time I got there. But you know what I'm saying? There's a Huff Bakery in there, so I would get a donuts, probably get a couple of Miami's, little ice Miami's, which is a thing that don't exist no more because Huff Bakeries don't exist no more. But imagine like a long glazed donut. It was the truth. So it's like I chuckle, and I talked about this recently on the regular show. It's like it's both the ebb and flow, but you like at some points in my life, it's like, man, we was dirt poor, but then sometimes it's like, look, I had wild amounts of Transformers. Mm-hmm. Like I actually own Transformers. I wouldn't borrow Transformers. I wouldn't steal Transformers. Joe. My mom's came up on Transformers. I had tons of He-Man joints.
He-Man.
I had Castle Grayskull. I had Battle Action He-Man. I still remember to this day where Battle Action He-Man is. We was playing at some dentist office or near a dentist office, throwing it up in the air, and it's on top of that building right now. If that building still exists, that's where He-Man landed because we was throwing him up in the air, and he just at one point, He-Man was never to come back. I had a Game Boy. And a wild amount of games. I have several of those games to this day in my house right now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it was these ebbs and flows. I mean, that's just what it is. We moved a bunch because a single mama is basically somebody in the military. You know what I'm saying? My mama wasn't in the military, but it's basically what it ends up being. Single mama, you got to move where the dough is. And so it's just like we move and we go and so forth and so on. So it's like there's times where it's like we was like I said, I had a bunch of everything. And then times where we didn't. And it just is what it was. It's just the way it kind of played itself out.
Sugar sandwiches.
I do remember sugar sandwiches. I remember eating beans with sugar because I was not going to eat beans no other way because pinto beans are gross.
Syrup sandwiches.
Now pinto beans is, of course, everyone's serving them everywhere. Your local Chipotle is over and so on. But pinto beans, it's a flip. It's when you have to eat pinto beans or you have to eat rice,
right?
Or you have to eat whatever. That it's be like, I don't want to do this. But it's like now when it's an option, then who cares? You know what I'm saying? It's right. My kid eat rice all the time.
Yeah.
But they don't know a life of having to.
Well, that was the thing. Mama made us sit at the table and eat. Whatever she put there, we ate it. I remember a time that we had dinner and what she decided she wanted to cook that night, I wasn't having it. So I sat there at the table and she says, well, either you eat or you go to bed hungry. I'm like, yeah, well, she's not going to really send me to bed hungry, so I'm not eating these joints.
Yeah, that's how I ended up left at that Walmart. Don't play yourself like that.
And, she sit there, and I sat there, hours on end, and finally she said, go to bed. I was like, fine, whatever. She said, oh, yeah, that will be there for you in the morning. I'm like, yeah, whatever, right. You're not going to feed me this stuff in the morning. Lo and behold, next day comes, I wake up, go down the table, everybody's eating bacon and grits and cheese. And I have this nice plate sitting on the table wrapped up in aluminum foil. I'm like, oh, what is these joints? Open the plate. It's the plate from last night. I'm like, so she's really going to make me eat this stuff and study this. Fine, I'm not eating it in.
Oh, stubborn ass.
Well, you don't.
Just stubborn for
long story short, I ended up eating the plate for dinner. Last night's dinner was today's dinner. Lunchtime came and everybody's eating chips and sandwiches. My plate was still on the table, wrapped up in foil. I'm like, okay, how long are we going to roll this? Well, let's see how far we just can take this plate. Well, took it all the way to the next day, dinner time. I said, you know what? Fine. So I basically heated it up. She put it on the table. I put it in my mouth, didn't chew, just swallowed. We getting rid of this today.
A lesson I learned a very long time ago. People have a habit of chewing things that taste bad or they don't like, and they be keeping it in their mouth forever. And I'm like, you just let it marinate. Just get it in there and get it down, and it is gone.
Just swallow it.
You ain't got to worry about it. Liver is disgusting.
Hey, liver is delicious, my man.
Man, no. Liver be looking pretty, lightweight, smelling good, because my mama know how to season food. But liver tastes disgusting. It's very metallic. It has a very weird texture.
It does.
Liver is gross.
But liver and onions with sweet rice is delicious, my man.
Hey, you black.
Hey, that's right. Sugar on everything. Sugar on rice, sugar on spaghetti, sugar
Y'all
on
can
chili.
thank Grandpa Buck for that.
Hey.
What you say, baby?
I like the way she says delicious.
Oh, hey.
We were raised with sugar on everything. My daddy,
That's right.
if it did not have, my mama had to have every day something sweet for dinner. Breakfast, my father had to have sweet rice.
With butter.
Every now and then oatmeal, but it had to be sweet. If you sat at the table with my daddy, he would take cold piece of butter, mash it up in either syrup or jelly, and sop it with a biscuit, a hot homemade biscuit that my mom had made. I, to this day,
Delicious.
am sad that Dad put sugar into our family's being, because sugar for all of us has been one of our downfalls.
It's still the devil for me.
Yeah, I struggle with it. I'm grateful that any of us right now don't have to do insulin, and that's why I push myself to be very on guard.
Definitely.
Because I had an uncle who actually died from complications of true diabetes, which even he ended up being blind and on massive insulin.
That's not going to happen to me. I'm like an ant. Sugar is energy to me. So you can't take my sugar away.
I pray that is what will happen.
If
with
I
you.
have to if that doctor says, sir, we're going to have to get to cut your sugar, y'all might as well put me on the grill now, because I'm done. If I can't have sugar. You should have seen me last night. We had a problem. We really had a problem.
Houston had a problem.
We have a problem. There is no... I had one moon pie left, and it was a little one. So he kept looking at me like, you want me? Come on and open it up. I'm like, I do, but you are the last one.
That's all I got to work with.
I kind of opened them up there and sniffed them and wrapped them back up, and I said, well, I do have a knife over here, so I cut this joint up into a lot of pieces, and I had some moon pie all night. A little sugar here, a little sugar there, just to keep me off the edge. Because, like I said, it got real hairy last night. I went to the window and looked out and seen if I seen any lights on across the street, and everything was closed. I said, well, there is a 7-Eleven, but who's walking that far? Not I. No, I have already rode the bike and walked and all that good stuff. I am on the heavy side, ladies and gentlemen, and no, wasn't going to make the 7-Eleven run. I probably wouldn't have made it there, but probably would have had to call a cab to go back.
I'm not good with sugar, but I'm not as hard as I used to be. But you know what I'm saying, if I go to the store, I'm gonna come back with a little something. I just am. I'm gonna give me a little Debbie, which at this point costs 75 cents. I want y'all to know.
Lord,
75 cents for
crazy.
A cake that used to cost a quarter.
25 cents.
It's madness.
It's madness. Well, your mother, Mama, she orders stuff from
Grocery store, whatever.
Grocery store and everything. I say, well, hey, let me place my order in. Yeah. She said, boy, you got about $30 worth of junk food, right? I do.
Look, if you got the dough to pay for it, I ain't gonna be mad at you.
Dang.
But I'm gonna tell you right now, what you gotta do is just peel it back a little bit. Just a little bit, man. Cause what is gonna happen is you're gonna end up getting diagnosed late in life. Don't play yourself.
like Mama.
Yeah. So just like I said, and just you'll find your middle ground. You'll find your peace, but seek it and find your middle ground.
The funniest thing about that, though, is that sugar is not really the cause of diabetes, though the older people call it sugar diabetes. It's the carbohydrates, the breads and the potatoes that actually are against an individual who is either pre-diabetic, staged the
Type 2?
Type 2 diabetes. Yeah. So I am disappointed with myself in that I hate bread, don't eat a lot of it, never have, don't do a lot of potatoes. I don't do a lot of carbohydrates. I've always been in love with meats and vegetables. But still, I'm what's called pre-diabetic.
Okay.
If I can stay under 6.5, which is where I'm testing out now every 3 months my A1C. I want to go back to 6. If I get to 6, then I don't have to be on even the diabetic sugar pill. Which, by the way, you kids need to know this. And I am, as of this month, I have been totally off of the diabetic pill that I was taking. No, it's not because of anything I did proper. The pill, when I went to get my prescription fill, went from $47 to $92 for a month's supply.
Yeah.
I could not afford it. I was not going to ask you kids. And so I had my doctors and the nurses trying to find an alternative, which is the way I've always done it. I'm at a new place called Centerwell. It's for seniors. It's a senior medical clinic.
Yeah.
And the new doctor, whom I have not met yet, told the pharmacist to tell me that they would look at things when they saw me for my 3-month appointment, which is the 9th of September. And we talk about it then, and I said, so what am I supposed to do? Not take it? She said, basically, yeah, that's kind of the way he didn't say don't take it, but then that's basically the way he said it, because I made sure he understood you didn't have any. So I've been off of this pill called Glaxambia. I am interested. I am going to be very interested to see what my numbers look like.
Having not been on the medicine and then been trying to keep your sugar in check yourself.
And the one thing that I remember, I just remembered this a few nights ago. The reason I went on Glaxambia was that the medication that I was on prior to Glaxambia, I was having allergic problems with it. And for whatever reason, and we never did figure out why, I went from a 6.5 to a 13 in 3 months.
Yeah, nah.
And Doc freaked. My doctor freaked. And so Glaxambia was what he put me on, which was, at that time, the newest and the best.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see what happens. If I go back up, is my one question. My other question is if I maintain or if I drop.
Yeah.
So it's going to be curious to see.
Just give yourself a sugar cube like
that bill that the president signed Monday, or this past Monday before last. One of the things in there is allowing Medicaid to negotiate drug prices a little better.
I am so excited about that.
So I am hopeful that your drug prices will get more in line with what they should be and what they would be anywhere else in the world. But also, look into Mark Cuban's pharmacy. He has a pharmacy company online, and I can't remember the name of it right now. And he seems to be selling everything just about it costs, which is like sometimes $5.
I have the information. I'll share it
All
with you.
And
Very
so,
good.
if need be, we'll go that way. In fact, come down to it. Canada is mighty close. Things can happen.
I have not.
I just need something to help me with my sugar.
You just need to watch what you eat. That's your world is a whole lot different. Plus, you got the Crohn's, so you got to watch what you eat as to begin with.
Period.
So you
I'm
already
not eating nothing now. That's the problem.
What I'm saying is,
sugar is my friend.
What you got to do is just watch what you eat, and you already watch what you eat. Just watch a little tighter. I got to do the same. I've been exercising, but I don't watch what I eat. Now, exercise is good for me. Like I said, I'm hoping my main point of that is hoping to get off the blood pressure.
I'm gonna pick smoking back up.
Oh,
Please don't take nothing else up.
This is my little family. This is who I grew up with. I am the youngest of my mother's 3 children. I'm the baby, and get treated accordingly.
I was truly hoping to hear some more of their harrowing stories, ladies and gentlemen. My 3 children waited until they were fully grown and out of my switch reach to inform me of some of the stuff that they did to each other.
Of course.
In the name of fun.
That's right. I made my brother eat a tablespoon of salt.
No real recollection of that, but it seems to be that.
Yeah, my mama said it could have killed him, but you know what? We were in our grandpa's shed, and one day, and I happened to look around and see some jumper cables. I said, let's figure this out.
You sparked out. You didn't get me.
And I threw some water on them and hooked them up to the jumper cable.
That was definitely not me. That was Fat Al who lived next door. Okay. No disrespect. He was fat and his name was Al. So don't ever get twisted.
I remember him.
Yeah. And so it's like, don't think I'm trying to clown him, man. It's just what it was. We was children, and that's what. That was not I.
Terrible.
He did throw boiling water on me. I did have a burn on my butt from that. He threw a tablespoon of boiling hot water on me.
Yep.
I jumped off a garage because he told me to.
Yeah.
Lied to their mother about what happened.
Cutting my elbow open. Freaking out because recently in that same period of time I had my leg cut open there. And that required several stitches.
Because I pushed him on the bike.
27.
13, but 14 because there's one on the inside. I remember that clearly as day, the math.
Oh my gosh.
And so I remember knocking on the door at Rust Avenue because Alicia ran in and locked the door and I'm banging our door until the glass broke. Mm-hmm. And we slammed the door. Is that what we ended up in? I don't know how we got
They
on
lied to me a lot, ladies and gentlemen.
My mama used to spank us. My mama was old school and spanked us. Guess what? It was lying or getting your butt whooped. I was going to go with the lie and see if we can make that work.
Every time.
Thank you. And so that's just what it was. And so sometimes you do what you want.
Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. Correct. We took a lot of butt whoopings for him over the years.
You didn't take butt whoopings for me because that was never what it was.
Right. What was it then? What was it? It was either clean the house up, do your chores, everybody had their chores to do, or get a whooping. So Fat Boy wanted to sit in the chair all day and watch cartoons upside down. So we had to say, we got to get this house clean before Mom come home because you already know what it is. So we had to do your chores on several times.
That makes so much sense now. Or my youngest child don't do their chores.
Right.
It's just in them. Can't help it.
It's just like one time, me and you found a smoke bomb outside.
I remember smoke bomb.
I remember that.
And we brought it in the house, and Lisa was trying to light it on the stove and get it out the door, and it went off in the house.
Of course it did.
And ladies
house
and
full
gentlemen,
of smoke.
I came in and they got away with this one because Alicia had the forethought to go through the house sprinkling pine salt. I thought they had been cleaning all day. The house smelled so nice.
She come home like, y'all been cleaning. We sure have been cleaning all day like slaves. Not knowing the house was full of smoke.
Filled the house with a smoke bomb.
Again, it's a memory of a memory. I'm aware that happened. I can't picture it in my head. I do remember a snake in the house.
Because you're lazy.
I do remember a snake in the house and Greg Day having to come over and kill it.
Yes.
Right, because it was in the cabinet with the cereal, and we woke up one morning, and I went in there and said, holy moly.
I remember it traveling. Literally, I remember listening to it in the ceiling.
Wow.
Crawling and then going into the cupboard. Yeah. And I remember opening the cupboard and seeing it. Of course, when you're younger, it looked like it was a cobra, huge, humongous anaconda.
Right.
It was not all that.
In my brain, I remember just being a king snake that he ended up cracking his neck with like a broom handle.
Yeah,
Your granddad had this fantastic thing he loved to do with you children would show you this wonderful way of killing a snake, which was to pick it up, run it around his head like a lasso, and
snap it,
and you could hear the pop of the neck as the neck broke.
I mean, at that point, there was the snake's fault. This rules to this: don't show up at the crib. You could be outside the house. I still live by this right now with spiders we recently talked about on this very show. So like I said, if you don't come in my zone, that corner can be yours. Enjoy.
Absolutely.
Eat some bugs or whatever.
Yes.
Have it. But you give me my situation,
Yes.
then you have come too far. And like I said, you don't pay rent here.
Because
you gotta go.
And folks understand that is a phobia of mine that I have.
Terrified.
I am terrified of snakes. I mean, if you put a snake in front of me, I'm going to snitch on the world.
Hey.
I will do it. The time I was cutting the grass and
It's like a blue racer.
Cutting the grass and I seen something out the corner of my eye going past through the grass. And I'm like, okay, no, whatever. And I came back around the second time, and there he was sitting there looking at me, and I'm looking at him, and we looking at each other. And I'm like, okay, what you gonna do? And the lawnmower was running, mind you, so he's looking at me, I'm looking at him, we looking at him, and I'm looking at him, and he's looking at me. I said, okay, well, it's either me or you. And
It's got to be you.
Got to be you. So I said, bonsai, and ran him over with the lawnmower. Snake went everywhere, and that was it. But, boy, I'm telling you, I'm scared of snakes.
And he came into the house. I knew something was wrong because he looked exactly like I'm sure he felt
Like
terrified.
saw and had to take out a
He was
snake.
standing there just kind of shaking and looking pale, and I'm finally going, what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong?
I had to take out the squiggly wiggly.
And he finally told me what had happened, because it was hilarious. I had to laugh, but I didn't laugh in his face. I did go in the other room. But it was funny to watch him, because he was terrified.
Yeah, I'm not.
Still is.
Oh, hey, bro, I'm not trying to kick it with no snakes either. So I'm with you.
I mean, I'm not scared of nothing, too much of nothing but snake. I am terrified of snakes.
It's all to the good.
I've seen a couple wild snakes in a while.
Well,
Sure, we've been sitting here using up airtime for nothing. But it's been good to reminisce.
that is not how this fucking. This is what podcasting is.
Yeah.
But each week, no matter what, even in front of my mama, we take it down to the mean streets of Reddit, and we go to the subreddit that is we're gonna abbreviate AITA because I don't want to be swearing in front of my mama. And I'm gonna pick one of these. Maybe we'll do two.
Mad respect.
Yeah. So I'm gonna scroll through my phone right here and see.
We're going to get out of here on something smooth.
Am I the blank word for refusing to talk to my father but still talk to his ex-wife? I, 19 female, haven't spoken to my father in over a year because he cheated on my stepmom of 11 years for over half of their marriage, as well as my biological mother. My father has never been a good father to me or my 4 siblings. He always treated me like a bad word and criticized me for everything I did. My stepmother told me in June of 2021 that her and my father had been separated for over a year and he hadn't told anyone. She told me everything that he did, and at first I was upset. But then I came to realize that he had never really done anything good for me, and it was always my stepmother that did everything for me. He barely even paid my mother child support for me. So I decided to refuse to talk to him and cut him out of my life. I'm still in contact with my stepmother, constantly. He has only asked her about me once, and then proceeded to tell her to tell me that if I did not reach out to him when he's in town visiting his mates, then he will wipe his hands of me. And at this point, I have no care. He's the one that won't meet his future grandchildren and get that they'll have a second grandmother. I think what pisses me off the most is that I still talk to what pisses him off the most, forgive me, is that I still talk to my stepmother, but I haven't spoken a word to him since June of 2021. So am I the a-hole for cutting him out of my life and refusing to talk to him and still talk to my stepmother? Slight update. He also never reached out for Christmas or my birthday, and yet he knows that my stepmother sent money for both those occasions. So is this person wrong, we'll say it like that, for not talking to his father, talking to their father, but still talking to their stepmom?
No.
Would you care to elaborate?
I mean, if that's the way he feels, like you said, he's missing out on his grandchildren. He's missing out on his child's life, his grandchildren's life, all because of what? So, I mean, it is what it is. If you feel that way, bro, keep it moving. Keep that energy.
Yeah.
Like I tell most people, if you got a problem with me, walk around it.
Hey, that's what's up.
My only issue with that is the grandchildren are going to miss out, but from the sounds of it, he's never been a parent, period.
Correct.
So missing would probably not be the right word for it.
Yeah.
It's sad that they don't have a relationship, And my only other problem is the fact that the whole split came because Dad cheated on Mom and
then stepmom too.
And stepmom. Having experienced a life like that, it really, and it has taken me all of my life to come to the conclusion, it wasn't my business from jump. That was my mom's. It was up to her to feel whatever she felt. It was up to the ex-wife. I had no right to have an opinion. But again, that's not the way real life exists. Most people make an opinion. My dad, on the other hand, we were fully grown when we finally got the information in. I remember when half the camp we split. And honestly, it was a big split because I happened to be the only one that kept my relationship with my father intact. The others tended to, their relationship downgraded because of his tendency to enjoy fruit from another tree.
Pop was a Rolling Stone.
And was.
But I never really felt I had a right to feel any other way because as a parent, he was the best parent that I knew of. Matter of fact, he was the neighborhood dad. So for me, I never felt that I had anything that he had done nothing wrong to me. So I never felt that way. But I can understand this individual's issue. And again, I'd probably say, no, you're not. I'm just sad that your children won't get to know
that part of their family.
That part of the family. But again, then they can, because if you do it right and do it tactfully, they can know of him without knowing all of that.
Big sis, your opinion?
No opinion.
Fair enough. I'm getting the comments here, and from one of the comments, this is from Stat City, who is described as a pooperintendent. So they have 64 comments in this subreddit. Not the gall with your father. He's going to come to town and visit his mates rather than visit his own daughter and or try to repair whatever's left in the relationship. No, I don't blame you. Your father made it clear with you where his priorities are, and unfortunately, it's not with his children and not with honoring the sanctity of his marriages. At least your stepmother was there for you along with your mother. You still have two parents in your corner, and they want you in their life. Continue bonding with her. Respect it.
Yeah.
Am I the bad word for not sharing my prize with my workmates? This person's even name is bad. I can't even say this person's username, but you'll see it in the show notes as always. Every month, there is a raffle where I work. It's free as a thank you for everyone working. This week, I won a box of chocolates, and all my colleagues wanted me to put them on the table to share with everyone else. No, sir. I have been working there for about a year, and although I get along with a lot of my workmates, none of my actual friends were on shift when I won. I didn't want to share with them rather than take them back to my house and share with my housemates and friends who also work with me but weren't on shift. So was this person the bad person for not wanting to share his particular prize with this particular crew that he's working with this week and actually wants to save for his people that he do work with?
Well, as me, the person that loves sugar, hell no. I'm not sharing this with you bums. I'm going to stick it in my desk and gently open a drawer every now and then and take out a piece
just
and
snag
eat
one.
it.
Oh, my gosh. So this person asked, somebody actually asked in the comments, do other raffle winners generally share the prize like this? Is it something that can be shared? If no one else had to share, then it was unfair to expect you to. But if everyone else shares and only you refuse to, that does look pretty bad. And the original poster responded, some do, but most don't, unless it's alcohol, to which they don't share for obvious reasons. So, I mean, it doesn't seem like there's a history. There is a minor history of sometimes sharing. But in this situation, no, right? You're good. You won the prize. You won it fair and square. It's okay for you to have kept that for yourself.
Especially chocolate. I ain't sharing chocolate. I don't care who you are.
I'll eat all the good ones out and leave the bad.
Oh my gosh. I gotta go back and find that one we did. I gotta save it so I can have it for notes later. Where did I put it at?
I eat the ones people don't like.
You mean like the sour quince? That's a quote from The Simpsons.
Yeah, I'll save the ones people don't like to eat. I eat all the good ones. They can have the bad ones.
Goodness.
Them hard caramels.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Suck all the chocolate off and leave the hard caramel.
Yeah.
All right.
Goodness.
You know what it is. Please rate, review, subscribe, and share the show wherever possible. Please, look, the whole point of that one is share the show. I want you to go tell a friend about the show. Then they'll get onto it and be like, yo, that's a pretty good show. And then they'll go tell a friend and they'll put them on. The share portion of that is way more important than you rating or reviewing it. Somebody's going to look at it and be like, oh, it got 5 stars. Cool. But if you share it, that means you've given your word on my show and shared it with people, and that's dope. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram. We all over the place. Stage Crunchy Milk just about everywhere. And SKiMPod, SKiMPod, over on Twitter. If you want to support the show financially and got a few bucks to toss that way, you can join us over on Patreon, where members at the $5 and above tier get extra content each month and early access to new shows. You should have just gotten one recently if you are already a patron of the show. I should have gave you on the road at some point, so you should hopefully be good. Yeah, it happened in the past, so by the time you hear this, it went down. But got more coming. Got a lot in store already. Gabriel came through with a ton from up on the road, so we are good to go.
Gotta listen to him.
We also have merch available over at tpublic.com/user/Stage Crunchy Milk, all one word. So you can go over there and buy a shirt. We got several like logos and stuff on there. Saw my man William Jackson Kent posted his shirt on our Twitter recently, and it looked so good and I was like, man, how you keep that shirt looking so good? Because I had that same shirt and it was terrible. And he said, you told me when I got it to turn it inside out and wash it in cold water. I did, and it's done. And it's been nice ever since. I'm like, that's what's up.
That's right.
I gave him the wisdom to keep our logo looking fresh and clean on his chest. And I thank you for rocking it and sharing it with people. Again, sharing, like I said, I keep telling you, that's how we roll. That's how we get down.
That's how I wash my clothes inside out.
Hey,
I'm still waiting on my...
I owe you a hoodie. Hush.
Oh, okay. Just making sure since it's a family affair. December came and gone.
Shoot us a message. We're at podcast@stagecrunchyMilk.com. It's the reason. I'm saying if you want to shoot us an email. I cannot check the email because I'm not at my computer. I'm at my big sister's table. Feel free to give us a call. 216-264-6311. That's 216-264-6311. We'd certainly love to hear from you. That is my mama.
Bye, y'all.
That is my big sister.
Bye, y'all. Really, Mom?
That's my big brother.
Adios. Stage Crunchy and Milk. Lucky Ace 72 is my hashtag.
I mean, there you go. You can go follow him wherever you find that at. It's probably him, if anybody else. There you go. Of course, I am the Internet Table 713. You have just been podcast 2, and I know you loved it. We'll catch you next time. Peace.
Bye, y'all.
Peace.
Nice.
Hey, what happened to you? You used to be beautiful.